Hello and welcome once again to The Blueprints. This is Canada's Conservative Podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Schmale, Member of Parliament for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock, with new content for you every single Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This is our last episode before Christmas. Hanukkah is wrapped up. On today's show, we are talking about the new 988 suicide helpline brought in by our friend, my colleague, Todd Doherty, the Member of Parliament for Cariboo Prince George. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, Jamie. I'm doing great. Thanks. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on the show now.
I'm sorry. You've got such a great voice.
You're too kind.
A face for radio and a voice for radio as well.
A voice for print.
Yeah, there you go. Well, maybe. Yeah, there you go. It's great to be here. You know, I want to thank you for providing. So we're here to talk about 988.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought we were doing a blind
We are
taste
double
test.
fisting today.
So is this gin or vodka? Which one are we doing?
Well, we are lining up before Christmas,
Okay.
So it's a blind taste test. Take a big gulp and you tell me which one is which.
Well, I would. I have to tell you that this is not my shade of lipstick on here. So it's a fancy show that you have going on here.
Well, it's to ensure new guests keep coming back because we don't clean the glassware. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah, it's strong. Okay. That's good. Sorry. It's good to be here.
I appreciate the opportunity. So
I'm
don't forget
Schmale, everybody. We'll be here all week.
Don't forget for our listeners and viewers to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this program. Tell your friends because we need your help to ensure that Peter Poilievre's the next Prime Minister of Canada. They can also download it on platforms like CastBox, Google Play, and Spotify. You name it. It is out there. All right.
You're everywhere.
We're trying.
You're doing a great job.
We're trying. Well, we just feel that the mainstream media isn't always telling both
They're
sides
not
of the story.
telling our story.
So we need other methods to get the message out.
I agree.
And this is one way to do it. But we also rely on the help of our listeners and viewers to spread that message as well.
Yeah.
It's very important. But the topic we're about to talk about is extremely important because this is something near and dear to your heart. As long as I've known you, you came to my community before the world, went crazy. To talk about mental health. You've been the mental health guy. And you brought in you brought in a motion, I believe.
It was a motion.
A motion. Yeah. Unanimous consent in the House of the 988 hotline.
Yeah, December 11th of 2020.
And now it took 2 years, but now it's gone live.
Oh, it took 3 years. It was.
That's right, yes, 3 years.
It was, I think, 11 days, almost 3 years. Yeah. So 1,084 days.
Since the motion was passed.
Yeah.
It's like the Liberals just did not seem a priority of this.
So,
even though we know mental health cases were rising, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, 100%. We know that suicide is amongst the leading causes of death for males ages 18 to 59. We know that our statistics pre-pandemic there are 12 deaths by suicide every day. 12 Canadians die by suicide. Further, 200 Canadians attempt suicide. And those are the stats we know. We also know that because of the stigma surrounding mental health and suicide, many of those deaths go unreported and those attempts go unreported. So those stats are considerably higher. Coming out of the pandemic and COVID, those numbers are through the roof. And that's why 988 is so important.
And now we're approaching the holiday season, which is always a stressful time for many.
Especially now with the rising cost of everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And more and more Canadians that are feeling insecure about their finances. More homeless, more people going to food banks. The numbers that we heard recently, over 2 million Ontarians using food banks. And those are Canadians with jobs even as well too that are finding themselves food poverty. They can't afford to eat, heat, or fuel their vehicles, heat their homes, or put food on the table. And so this Christmas is going to be bleaker than most.
Well, I can tell you, as someone living in Ontario, the numbers of food bank usage spiked during the Ontario Liberal rule when they made the price of energy go through the roof, and people were trying to decide whether to heat or eat, pay their rent, and that was something that was new because food banks had they're steady. It was always been steady, but that skyrocketed, and now under this Liberal government, the usage is going higher, and that's not to mention like the price of fuel, the price of food, the price price of rent, the
Incredible.
price of housing.
Yeah.
It goes on and on and on. Not to paint a bleak picture, but as we approach holidays, that extra stress goes on someone. Now they have a potential helpline. Now they have
Yeah, so 988 now Canadians, as of November 30th at 9 a.m., Canadians can call or text 988 if they are feeling that they are having a suicidal ideation. They're ready to ask for help, or if you have a loved one, if you feel that you have a loved one that is struggling, Canadians can call, regardless of where they are. Call or text 988, both official languages, and there's somebody there, a trained crisis responder will be there 24/7. And as much as I would love to have had it go live, 988 go live 180 days or 90 days after we first passed the motion, we also wanted to make sure that that when Canadians were ready to ask for help, that there was a trained voice, a caring, empathetic individual on the other end that can help, because it honestly will make a difference between a life lost and a life saved. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I truly believe that too. And thank you, Todd, for all your work on that.
I appreciate that.
You've truly been a leader in this Parliament.
There's so much more we need to do.
It
eh?
is. And so regular, normal working people are suffering, but you're also taking one more step as well. We see the stress being put on first responders as well. The amount of first responders who are on stress leave, sick leave, who are leaving the profession, nurses, police officers, you name it. They're stepping back because of this increased stress and burnout that's put upon them.
Yeah, how far we have fallen when you have paramedics that have to wear bulletproof vests to work, that our firefighters that are just trying to put out a fire are attacked, stabbed in the back. Nurses just trying to take somebody's blood pressure, or wheeling a healthcare provider, wheeling a patient from emergency to a cast room, being knocked out. These are things that happen each and every day. How can we recruit? How can we retain these individuals? So not only do they have to put up with experiencing some of the most horrific images and seeing people at their worst, seeing some of the most horrific car crashes, accidents, but now you have to worry every day that they put their uniforms on that they could be targeted, that they could experience violence against them, threats against them, and it's very real. We know that over 73%, or the numbers are even higher than that, nurses from coast to coast to coast experience an act of violence every 9 days in their job. Over 2/3 of nurses are reporting that they don't know if they want to continue in their choice of career, and the violence is staggering. Some of the stories that we've heard, whether it is a police officer or a firefighter, correctional officer, paramedic, ambulance, or these nurses and healthcare providers, it's unbelievable how far we've fallen as a society where violence and threats of violence against those who just want to protect us is okay, and it's bizarre, and so we need to do everything we can. As I was telling you on the walk over, I received a text message the other day of yet another RCMP officer that we lost to suicide. I get those messages so frequently, which is why 988 is so important. Yeah. But we need to do whatever we can to protect those who protect us. So 988 is there for all Canadians. We also have a new bill, which we're at third reading, report stage today, and that's C321. And we know that over 83% of Canadians support amending the criminal code, so making the fact that a victim of violence was if they are a first responder, if they are a healthcare provider, the fact that they're a victim of violence, make that an aggravating factor at sentencing. So stiffer penalties, making sure those that perpetuate those acts of violence against those who protect us, that they know that they're going to face the full force of law.
100%.
Yeah.
So we have the suicide hotline.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. Your province has seen a enormous rise in overdose deaths in the tens of thousands.
Yeah. 7 a day, just yesterday or the day before, our public health officer, our province announced that the numbers are getting worse by the day. Now we're up to 7 a day, 7 deaths a day. It is the leading cause of death for children,
Really?
ages 10 to 18 in province of British Columbia. It's
That is
unbelievable.
incredible, those numbers.
Right.
So we're talking, our leader's talking, Pierre Poilievre's talking about treatment.
Yeah.
He's talking about jail, not bail, for violent repeat offenders.
Right.
Trying to have a multi-pronged approach to this. The 988 hotline falls into this as well, offering a path to help where they might not be able to get it. So I think our party's trying to provide hope to people who are suffering. Like there's a path out of this, and we're trying, hopefully we'll get a chance to be in government very, very soon, but we're trying to give that hope, that path.
Right. We believe, our leader believes, we all believe that recovery is always possible. And we should be fighting for those who are unable to fight for themselves, that don't have a voice for themselves. And our leader has been very, very strong on this, that we need to, there should be a pathway to recovery at all times. I just spoke with a physician, a primary care provider, earlier this week, whose own nephew died by suicide, or not, sorry, died by overdose. And she said, like, even in her own role as a leader, as a physician in her community, she could not get her nephew into recovery. It took so long, and he was dead before a seat even became available. My brother I've been, very, very public with the fact that our family has had our own struggles with mental health and addictions. I have a brother that lives on the streets that's addicted to drugs. I lost my brother-in-law to overdose. I had an uncle that was addicted to drugs as well too, who's no longer with us. It impacts all walks of life, and we need to do something. We're failing Canadians. This is a national healthcare crisis. This government has refused to call it that.
That's right.
And they've refused to act. They continue to spend billions, literally billions of dollars, on an experiment that is seeing an increase in deaths.
Exactly.
Since 2016, over 38,000 Canadians have died. That's an 82% increase.
That's entire cities, right?
Yeah.
Like that's cities in some of our communities.
It's unbelievable. And we're powerless to stop this drug that goes into, that flows through our borders. And imagine, the decrim part of this. So if just a grain of fentanyl can kill a human being, many say it can kill thousands, what would 2.5 grams do? And that's the legal limit. Like, somebody can carry 2.5 grams in my province. It's unbelievable. And so
it makes no sense.
Not only that, but you have government-funded safe supply that is being diverted into our schoolyards and our children. We're getting a whole new population of Canadians addicted to opioids. Last week at the health committee, we pressed the public health officials on, could they give us a number on how much of that safe supply is being diverted? They couldn't give us those numbers. Yet they are still planning on continuing along the way. We have experts, over 50 addictions specialists in Canada, written letters to this government, pleading with them to consider other methods of treatment, other methods to fight this addiction. Yet the officials admitted They had not reached out to these people. The minister had not reached out to these.
Of course not.
Of course not, because they're not saying the same as what they want.
Exactly.
Right?
The government has a narrative, and the government...
So narrow-focused. And I'll be the first to admit, there are many tools in the toolbox.
Yep.
But when you spend literally billions of dollars on an experiment, and you're seeing, and your results are that you're seeing the numbers skyrocket, double, triple, and just the fact that the leading cause of death for 10 to 18-year-olds in one of our provinces is overdose. That should be a wake-up call, because whatever it is that we're doing isn't working.
Yeah, I agree.
It's staggering.
Yeah, I agree. Todd, we're pretty much out of time, but as you may or may not know, the guests always get the last word. So you're actually the last guest before Christmas.
Wow.
The last episode before 2024.
Amazing.
So no pressure or anything, and you didn't drink out of your mug. I've noticed you've only really.
I just want to know. This is a very fancy Jaime Schmallet blueprint. Is that how I say it?
That's exactly how you say it.
We just met, right? Like it's been 8 years. I think.
That's right, 8 years.
Jaime Schmallet, everybody, and.
Yeah, that was that one.
The vodka.
That was the vodka. Well,
listen,
tis the season.
I appreciate everything you're doing. We have such an incredible caucus, and you're doing incredible work. And your
As
file,
are you. As are you.
Whatever it is that you do, I can't remember now. What is this called?
Why do I invite you on the show? Why did I invite you?
You're one of my good friends.
Likewise,
I truly appreciate everything you're doing. You're leading. You're leading our parliament, you're leading our caucus in the efforts to really stand up for our Indigenous peoples, Indigenous, Métis and Inuit. Got to make sure I say that because you're making a difference. I hear it every day in my riding. The leaders are coming, they are talking about the work that you're doing, and I just want to say thank you because it means a lot.
Well, it's something, this file sometimes get overlooked, the Indigenous files sometimes get overlooked because there's so many other things happening in the world and world events and all this other stuff. But to me, as a critic for Crown Indigenous relations, I look at this file as the one that it can impact the most amount of people and fundamentally
100%.
Change. If we start to listen to those voices, West Ottawa knows best, we could actually change the status quo, which is basically Ottawa managing in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And what I love about the work that you've done is Prime Minister Trudeau stood up and dabbed a fake tear, put his hand on his heart and said this is the most important relationship that he's ever had back in 2015 with our Indigenous peoples. And then we've just seen failure after failure on this file. And you have actually started meaningful relationships and really, you and I both agree with this. We can't create policy without the Indigenous people.
Absolutely,
Indigenous
they have to be at the table.
100%. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you, Todd, Member of Parliament. Todd Doherty, Member of Parliament for Caribou, Prince George. Appreciate his time as always, and a big champion 988. He has been always the mental health guy and fighting for those who are hurting. So, Todd, you are a champion in our caucus, a champion for Canadians, and because of the work you've done, you will be saving countless lives. So, I hope that means something. I know it means those who are hurting. If you like this content, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. As we mentioned, this is the last episode before 2024. We'll be back on January 9th. We'll be doing a year in review, looking back at the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2024. Until then.
Are we going to be on that? Where do we fit in that? Good, bad.
You can be on the beautiful. You're the beautiful part. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this program. You'll get notifications when new content goes live. Until January 9th, have a Merry Christmas. And remember, low taxes, less government, more freedom. That's the blueprint.